You see, in an attempt to try and capture, as W.B. Du Bois said, the black image away from whites who were dressing in blackface. See, Jim Crow was a minstrel character. And what you had with minstrel shows, you had white actors putting on blackface and exaggerating the talk, the antics, exaggerating the behavior of black people. This was right after the Civil War. You had traveling shows where you had whites, this is important, to put on blackface and exaggerate the walk, the talk, they dressed up like Madea and Shanae. And all of those characters are white creations. The thug gangster that you see dancing and bobbing in the rest, that's not a black creation. That's a white creation. And W.B. Du Bois said in his debate with Alain Locke about, he makes a prediction. And the prediction was about what would be taking place right now. But this was 100 years ago. W.B. Du Bois said, what if 100 years hence, the only black to survive this time period is the black that whites have created in the art and literature they have produced? And the only Negro that has consistently survived in this culture is the Negro that this guy created. The thug, the gangster, the pimp, the player, the hustler. Not the intelligent Negro. Let me tell you, hold on, let me go back. Who was hanging from this tree? The pimp, the player, the thug was not up here. Because that kind can be a ward of the state. That guy could be a minion of the state. He could be used. He's valuable. So you got to keep him alive. He disrupt the public school, we'll create an alternative school for him. We just got to keep him hooked up in the system some kind of way. We'll send folks into the home, monitor the home. If the home isn't right, we will get them hooked up. They will serve us some kind of way.
Yeah, that keeps the capitalistic society flowing, Doctor, where free labor is intact and in place.
Absolutely.
Based on the culture that then the dynamic of the culture that they have created to keep us enslaved.
Right.
Slavery was no, or the reformation of the state as opposed to blacks who were entitled to reparations, the 40 acres and the mule theory. Can you talk about what the reform state is planning right now and as it relates to the teabaggers, you know, which go back in history, you can see the same plan.
Sure. And what they're planning to do is basically the same thing that they did at the turn of the 20th century. And so in order for it to work, one, the people have to be ignorant of what happened in 1901. See, if you knew what happened in 1901 or 1910, 2010 wouldn't be that big of a shock. You would be able to do what Thomas Jefferson said that the slave should never be able to do, and that's predict. See, when you're unaware of what has happened, you can't make predictions about what's going to happen. And so Thomas Jefferson calls it in Notes on Virginia recollection. That the slave has no recollection, which means they can't use the past to make a prediction about the future. And so what that allows for, it allows for the continued deception to take place. If you don't know, people say it, but they don't know what they're saying. If you don't know your past, you don't know your future. If you don't know what people are capable of, they'll do it to you again.
That's exactly right.
And so the question was, what are the teabaggers doing now? And here again, the teabaggers is just a vanguard. See, when we talk about politics, here again, if you didn't create it, it's not for you.
That's right.
Okay? Now, you have left wing and you have right wing. Now, what difference does it make if you are a Tea Partier or a Planned Parenthood? What good is it if you're left wing or right wing if the bird you are flying on is a chicken? What difference does it make?
None.
It's the same bird, isn't it?
That's right.
It's the same bird. This group will do you in just as quick as this one if the whole dynamic is this. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. If the underlying principle is us at the top and you at the bottom, what difference does it make? So we got to divest ourselves, and I hope the viewer is able to understand that you have to really cleanse yourself of these different types of divisions that other people have created.
For us to fit in.
Exactly. America now is divided. Very crude. Like this. Blue right here. Watch this. Right next to it, red.
Yeah.
Blue right here. Red. Red, red, red. Last election, blue. Now, how can you have red on top of blue on top of red on top of blue? The folks one street over from you is red. What is that called? It's called South Central LA. It's called Crippin' Blood.
Yeah.
You see? Now watch this. If education was what it is, because these folks and these folks want to do away with the educational system. Okay? And is this the setup? Do people normally divide themselves along either red or blue if they are free thinkers?
No.
Do a free thinking group of people look like this? Who looks like this? South Central LA. The Crips and the Bloods. Who created the Crips and the Bloods?
FBI.
As a means of state maintenance. It's a technique that is born in Western culture. I have friends that were in the intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
One in particular I have lunch with very often. And he was a part of an office called counterintelligence.
That's right.
And what the counterintelligence people do is they go into a place and they began to sow seeds of discourse in